Okay, good morning, everybody. You know, today we are here for a day of action. This action is called for because we have a president who is engaged in a conspiracy to deprive Americans of their right to a full and free election and their right to vote in that election. This conspiracy started with collaboration with the Russians back in 4 years ago, 2016, helped them get elected, and then it continued with the Ukraine stiff arm and strong arm of the leader of Ukraine, trying to get him to dig up dirt on Joe Biden, his chief political opponent. And that conspiracy has continued to this day, and now it involves the United States Postal Service. And the gentleman who is in charge of this postal service, Louis DeJoy, is a mega donor to the Trump campaign, and he's also a major stockholder in competitors to the post office. And so what he and Donald Trump have been doing is to try to sabotage the operations of the post office. And the reason why they're doing it is to deprive people of their full and fair right to vote in a free election. It's undemocratic, it's authoritarian, it's fascist behavior when it's coupled with his attempt to destroy the reputations of the intelligence community, the State Department, our generals, the courts, just about every institution of government, the free press, he comes out against and turns his followers against. And this is the action of an authoritarian fascist leader. And now we're confronted with that at the very heart of our democracy, the Postal Service. The Postal Service is ground zero for the November elections. It's ground zero, it's vote central. Because of the pandemic, people don't need to subject themselves to the fear of death and to the possibility of death simply by going out to exercise their right to vote, having to stand in the midst of a crowd in November, late October, where it is the onset of winter, the beginning of the flu season, combining the flu season with the COVID-19 epidemic and the second wave of this epidemic, which is definitely coming due to the mismanagement of Donald Trump. And then to subject people to have to go out and vote under those circumstances. Vote by mail is the way that this election needs to go. 50% of the voters are looking to vote by mail this time. And so Trump's actions and Leroy DeJoy's actions in trying to destroy and disrupt the post office is an attack on our very democracy. And it's something that we cannot stand for. They parade around as if the Postal Service is a for-profit enterprise. This is not a for-profit enterprise. This post office is here to serve the people of this country.
I was a letter carrier for 37 years. Not a politician, just coming up here to try to tell it. The motto of rain, sleet, cold, or night, we deliver. Bear in mind, if you get the mail to the post office, they will deliver it. The president didn't have a problem sending out 90 million letters to tell people that they were receiving a stimulus check that they had already received. We've delivered those. The only thing that can stop us from delivering it, if you take the truck, we had walking mail, man, so we'll walk it. If you take the gas, we're here to deliver the mail. We feel that you should have a right to vote. That shouldn't be a problem. When you talk about essential workers, think about how many days the Postal Service employees have missed since the pandemic started. I can tell you that, 0. The pandemic came and it was treated at the Postal Service as a regular week. People came to work, they went out on the routes, they delivered the mail. And just to let the leadership in the White House know that if the pandemic couldn't stop the carriers, If the rain and the sleet couldn't stop the carriers, 45, you're not going to be able to do it either. Now, as it relates to your statement about the delivering of the mail and the morale and how people feel, if you're going to work during the pandemic, clearly you want to do your job. Why would you go not to do the job? If it's going to be a fair election, let it be a fair election. Let it be a fair election. We are able to handle the vote, the mail. We are able to bring the veterans their medicine. But if you're going to take the funding away, the funding created a long time ago, when they signed a bill to say that the Postal Service had to pay $5 billion every year for the retired health care for employees. $5 billion. No other company pays that. For 50 years, it's what we were supposed to do. Clearly, that put us in a deficit. If you took away those $5 billion, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of the years that we've been in a deficit, we wouldn't have been in a deficit. We're paying money that we don't have. It wasn't a business to create a profit. It was a business to deliver service. That's why the name is called the Postal Service.
Carriers would be able to get overtime. They would also be able to run second runs of mail. That's what our postal workers do. The motto of the post office: neither snow nor rain, nor heat nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds. This is what the post office workers have been doing since 1789 in this country. This is something that they do every Christmas, when 500 million pieces of mail are processed and delivered every day, starting around December the 1st all the way through Christmas. The post office does the work that the Constitution enabled it to do. And now Donald Trump is trying to stop that work for his own selfish political gain. And also, I wouldn't doubt that he might have some stock in the post office competitors.
What about the $25 billion, though? You're going to address that on Saturday as well. How hopeful are you that something will actually come out of all this, with the Senate and the President saying, no, we're not doing it?
Well, the House has already passed $10 billion for the post office in the CARES Act. Steve Mnuchin is finagling around with that money, trying to extort the post office operations in return for getting a $10 billion loan. That's not what Congress intended, but that is the overreach of this administration. And Congress again passed the HEROES Act. And all of these workers in this building are heroes. They've been working from throughout this pandemic to carry out that mission to deliver the mail. They are our essential workers, and we provided for the post office in the HEROES Act $25 billion additional dollars. That has passed the House. It now lies on Mitch McConnell's desk. The Republicans are refusing to negotiate. They don't want to do anything for state and local government employees. It's a travesty as they take care of their multinational corporations. It's a travesty. We want people to call your United States senators. You've got 2 Republican senators here in Georgia. Both are on the ballot in November. They need to hear your voices. It is Republicans who are supporting this president who is trying to sabotage the post office. It's Republicans who failed to vote on the HEROES Act. It's Republicans who are trying to starve the post office of needed resources. So the people need to get on the phone, call your senators. You also need to call the White House. You need to send emails to those offices as well to let them know how you feel. And please know that Democrats in the House of Representatives are leading the way to protect this post office.
Thank you,
This might be for Mr. Taylor. The post office, they amp up the staff for the holidays. Well, is there any plan to do that for the election? And if there is, does any of the tactics that have been done going to harm that?
No, these The Trump administration is actually trying to lay off non-unionized postal workers. They're trying to cut back on personnel. They're trying to cut back on equipment. They're scaling down at a time when the post office needs to be scaling up. And the reason why they're doing it is so that Donald Trump can stifle and suppress votes in November, just so that he can get reelected. He'll do anything to get reelected.